And if what they say about what men and women are capable of, the pursuit of wealth should actually be petty. As we keep in mind what we assume is waiting for us in 5D consciousness, wealth and like getting up early and eating like kachava milkshakes so that you can make more money, and be more perfect. It seems stupid. If you put that in the context of us being enlightened, drinking kachava and being sleep deprived so we can make more money seems stupid. I'm sorry. Hey folks, welcome back. And today we're asking the question, why does money still equal authority on planet Earth today? And we're taking a look at what one's ability to acquire money has to do with their ability to steer the direction of humanity. Money and being enlightened, have historically been diametrically opposed. Yet on planet Earth today, the more money you have, the more enlightened you are presumed to be. The more people are interested in what you have to say, the more people who will do what you tell them to do. Basically, money equals authority. And that, pretty much like everything else on planet Earth, is ass backwards right now. Are we becoming more enlightened? Or are we becoming more materialistic as time marches on right now? Why is success still measured by how much stuff you have? Why are all these like limitless lifestyle coaches and motivational gurus still focused on acquiring wealth? All the classes that you can take to sort of improve your life are all about wealth acquisition. The ultimate goal is wealth acquisition. Like, I'm going to find out who I really am so I can make more money. Like, that's what's behind everything right now. Like, and we would think that with so much sort of on the table for questioning right now, that money would be sort of the sleeping giant in the room. And it might just be that. That might just be why no one's talking about it, and why no one's really, in my opinion, sort of moving in the direction, through their teachings or through their pursuits of sort of less, except for the people who are moving out, to the hills and starting communes, which I think there is a movement that's doing that. I think those of us who are awakening, all went through a period where we just wanted to run away and start a commune. So those people are sort of doing that. But shy of that, if you're part of the noise, by and large, folks are chasing money. That's why folks are busy, making content and starting YouTube channels, for the most part, is they're trying to make cash. Why do we see so many people who are on the ascension journey selling out? If we're still being motivated by the same drives and ultimately have the same goals as ever, how have we actually evolved? Who are we really if our version of ascension is still about making money? Have we moved closer to spirit or have we moved closer to desiring ways to get more stuff? As anyone who's ever healed another person knows, healing is about being in service to each other. And real service is motivated by unconditional love. Adding a price tag to service work turns the service into a product, and it removes the unconditional love from the transaction. When I had my first white light moment and was tossed out of the matrix back in 2010, there was a lot less on YouTube about ascending than there is today. And I ran into a lot of people selling their alchemical healing processes. And for some reason, even back then, I did not vibe with the notion of selling it. Mind Valley was coming up back then. Everyone knows who Mind Valley is now. And my personal opinion is I've always found their offering repulsive. I just have never wanted anything to do with that. The capitalization, or mass monetization of service. And that's what these skill sets are. We're born with these skill sets, and some of us just sort of figure out how to tap into small bits of them. And, I kind of feel like we should just be giving that away. We need to train each other up as quickly as possible. We're just, that's why I have this channel, right? Withholding information that keeps people from tapping into their true power because they can't pay for it. Mind Valley is just one example, and there are plenty of examples of healers who are out there, selling, their transformative services, because on some level, money, right, still equals success. And that's the same with the whole Patriot, community out there, where they're selling tickets, to Patriot events and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, for some reason, when you're trying to be in service to your fellow brothers and sisters here on planet Earth, you'd lose credibility when you tell people to pay for it or to smash that notification bell or whatever. You just lose credibility, in my opinion, if you're trying to be of service. So, after looking around back in 2010, I finally found someone who wasn't trying to convince me or convert me, right? They just put out what they knew how to do because they knew it helped people. And I was like, yes. And, when I tapped into the tools that he was posting on YouTube back then, they were exactly what I was looking for. They were perfect. And I still use them to this day. And I don't say this very often, but I will definitely put the link to his channel in the description. I'm just hopeful that this information that I'm sharing gets out there and helps things sort of snap into place, similarly to how was shared with me. I can speak from experience that getting everything you think you want doesn't actually equal success, and people who are inspired by getting things, seem to have missed this point of their spiritual journey. I've actually never been more hopeless than the day I succeeded in getting every single thing I wanted, literally everything on my vision board. And, there were some pretty big things on that vision board, and I got them all. And, the thrill may have lasted a few hours, definitely less than a day. And sort of that same time period, I realized how empty I was, and I was questioning everything I wanted and my desires and sort of what motivated me as a person. Like, okay, you got everything you wanted and you're still miserable. Like, what does that say about you, Michael? And what a person wants for themselves and for others says a lot about who that person is. And my wants and my desires, once I had attained them, they left me completely empty. So what does that say about who I was? What does that say about that road I was traveling? What does it say about those pursuits, I was pursuing? And, by all standards, I was wealthy and therefore successful. It's the most wealthy and successful I've ever been. And it was also the most miserable I've ever been. I can't even describe the depths of despair it brought me to. And, what I realized was I had a God-sized hole in my heart, and that no amount of stuff or money or numbing was going to change that. And it's really been the road to truth that's changed me into a man who lives his life with purpose and who's acquired experience, strength, and hope worth sharing, freely with others. It's really the opportunity to give the gift that was so freely given to me back when I was looking for answers. And if what they say about what men and women are capable of, the pursuit of wealth should actually be petty. As we keep in mind what we assume is waiting for us in 5D consciousness, wealth and like getting up early and eating like kachava milkshakes so that you can make more money, and be more perfect. It seems stupid. If you put that in the context of us being enlightened, drinking kachava and being sleep deprived so we can make more money seems stupid. I'm sorry. Okay. It just seems so dumb. Like those guys that are like talking about nootropics now. How they never have to sleep so they can make more money, and those dudes who are like, we only have 67,000 hours in our life. That ain't going into 5D or whatever's next. Like, that is not coming with us. I'm sorry. That is some petty ass shit. That is some petty ass shit. I need to get myself together. Whew. I mean, shouldn't we be getting lighter, right? And leaving denseness behind? We hear all these influencers and, people who are supposed to know what they're talking about how dense everything is. And yet, on the flip side, like, these people are acquiring more stuff, right? These influencers who are telling us we need to lighten our loads are all getting rich and sort of, quote unquote, burdening themselves with more stuff. Packing more stuff into space is literally the definition of density. Okay? So there's something that's paradoxical or incongruous about seeking to be in service to others and to pass enlightenment and acquiring things. Like, they're paradoxical. How does being the richest person alive in any way indicate that you've transcended the matrix? To me, being the richest person alive implies that you've mastered the matrix. Like, you're the king of the matrix if you have money. Like, it does not show that you are sort of a departure from the matrix, right? It shows that you are the master of the matrix. And if history has shown anything, it's that money corrupts and that power is a symptom of wealth. Why would wealth be such an apt metaphor for corruption if the wealthy weren't so consistently corrupt? And I guess what I'm saying is, or suggesting, is that there's something inherent in the process of acquiring money on planet Earth today that is necessarily unscrupulous. Like, it requires some degree or some lack of ethics on some level, even if it's saying in the middle of your service, like, and smash that notification bell, at some point you do have to sell out and be kind of a douche if you're going after money. The process of acquiring money on planet Earth today is necessarily unscrupulous. And by that logic, why shouldn't it be inferred that becoming wealthy necessarily means that you'll have to sell out and become a douche to do so? If so many of the wealthy so clearly demonstrate that time and time again, right? And if you're not willing to be a douche, you get thrown out of the club, right? Remember when George Carlin said it's a big club and you ain't in it? And I've yet to hear, one truther or influencer or 5D activist or light worker or self-healer coach put down the mantle of the almighty dollar, right? They still think that getting rich is what it's all about, right? And if you transform who you are and become like more spiritual, like, you can get more money. And what has the real almighty said about the almighty dollar? We can't serve two almighties. And so in this case, the choice comes down to unconditional love or ego and separation. Enlightenment is a measure of unconditional love, and wealth is a measure of ego. And it's not a coincidence that the most powerful spiritual beings in the world live in the middle of nowhere, and they could give two shits about making money. The pursuit of money is paradoxical to spiritual ascendance. If enlightenment is about going within, then making money is about ego and going without. It's unity, versus separation. And that's what making money is. To make something happen is an expression of ego. I mean, we all have to work, okay? I work. I have a job. I have a job and I do it so that I can survive. This is service work. This is service. This is the sharing of information that, I hope for some helps. I really just can't see anything like the current monetary system making sense. As you heard me losing it over that earlier. I just don't see anything like the current monetary system making sense in a truly 5D reality. It's like the big addiction we all need to let go of if we're going to go to higher consciousness. Less material. It's literally in the language. If you want to be light, then you must dematerialize. And you don't dematerialize by getting more and you don't dematerialize by getting more stuff. It doesn't work that way, honey. And this may actually be the great split, right? Or what separates 3D and 5D. The pursuit of stuff, an overly developed attachment to the limiting beliefs encapsulated in a 3D existence, or a sense of self that is defined by the acquisition and possession of more stuff. Like, I am what I own, versus, a soul that doesn't chase items at all, and a soul that doesn't make things happen, but allows them to unfold, or is, witness to God's will. This other version, this other soul does not chase items, but pursues vibrational reorganization, electromagnetic synthesis, and transmutation. We are actually allowing God's will for us to unfold. And through this, we achieve stillness, peace, and wisdom, and knowingness as a self, right? And we become a source of healing and peace for others, right? We are anchoring the truth so that if necessary, when the time comes, humanity can follow the breadcrumbs back to sanity. And sadly, the truth for, us may be that we don't see the better day that we're fighting for. We could be working for a sunrise we never get to witness. And that's why it's called unconditional love, right? If they're filthy rich and famous, and that, this includes the good guys, then they're in on it. And all I can think of, it's because they want to keep the 126 million at bay. The only thing standing between the filthy rich taking over the world in broad daylight are the 126 million or so who can stand up and do something about it. And I think a lot of the gaming that's going on, and a lot of the rich people who are influencing or controlling the narrative right now, they're doing it to keep the 126 million or so distracted. They're giving us something to think about, when maybe, we might want to be thinking about other things, or doing some organization of our own. Everyone's now saying it, and you've heard me say it a bajillion times. If everything's inverted, shouldn't this concept be re-examined too? Money has proven itself to be time and time again the root of all evil. And money itself is not evil, but what people do to get it makes them evil, which is why, basically, if you have a lot of money on planet Earth today, it's evidence that you're a douchebag. And if we think in terms of 3D and 5D, what could keep a person more rooted in 3D consciousness than the pursuit of wealth, right? We see this time and time again. Those with the most wealth are literally abominations to our collective humanity. And these rotten souls represent humanity at the highest levels. The top 1% or even the top 5%, they're all douches. Because making money and being a douche require the same set of skills in order to be successful on planet Earth today. Anyway, that's all I've got for now. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.